Hey, good evening, everybody. Sound check, check one, check two. All right, I figured out how to use the microphone. This is Sundance Brennan. I am the sales nerd. I am here today to give you a sales tip. So today, in fact, I've got 3 tips for you. 3 tips, count on 1, 2, 3. Today, I'm going to talk to you about closing. Oh, everybody loves to talk about closing. All the sales savages talk about, man, I really closed that one. Everybody's chest bumping and fist bumping and high-fiving. They do a little dance, right? They do a little, I got the business dance. But here's why you're not a closer, right? There's 3 signs to give you the warning that you're not a closer. Sign number 1, they closed you. If your customer says, what do we do next? Hey, Mr. Salesperson, how do we get the process started? Hey, we really like this. What's the next step? What's going on here? How do we take this home? If the customer has to close you, guess what? That's not a salesman. You just marketed them into death, right? You just wore them down. There's a complete difference between marketing and selling. Right? Marketing is giving features and talking to them about the specifics of the product and giving them, maybe even giving them some benefits, but then you just shut up and you listen to their next question. And then you give them some more features, then maybe eventually you give them like a pamphlet and maybe an email, and then you just marketed them to death and they finally wore down and said, all right, I guess I'm going to buy this. But they made that decision on their own, probably without much of your help. You just facilitated it. You might have just been a glorified customer service agent at that point in time. There was no sales skill involved. So if the customer says, what do we do next? And you put them on mute and you high five, you're doing it wrong. You should have saved yourself some time. You should have saved that customer some time because you could have closed them 15 minutes ago, a half an hour ago, or 2 days ago because you let your customer down. You didn't give them enough information. You didn't give a recommendation to move forward. We're salespeople. We get paid to give recommendations. Tell me your problems. I'm going to solve it, right? Give me your problems. Yo, I'll solve it. DJ, revolve it. Let's go, right? Save your time. Save your customers' time. They will appreciate you more. Give them a recommendation. Help them make that decision faster, better, smarter. You can do it. So sign number 1, if they're closing you, you're doing it wrong. Sign number 2, if they are asking you a lot of questions, right, and you feel like you're doing a good job, you're answering all the questions, you're very knowledgeable, like you know your stuff, but they're asking you questions like, hey, what about the gas mileage? Or what about the interest rate? What about the recoup time? What about the lease pack? Whatever it is you sell, if they're asking a lot of questions, sometimes as salespeople, we trick ourselves into thinking, hey, that's a buying sign. That customer's on board. They're asking questions about me, and I got the answers. Guess what? No. That's not going to cut it. Your customer service, you're the frequently asked questions page on a website. You're doing no service to the customer, and you're certainly not earning that commission. If you sell that customer, you just got lucky. Now, hey, everybody gets lucky every once in a while, but that's not the way to do it. All right? If you want to sell the person, you let them ask the question, you answer it, but when you answer the question, you take back control of the conversation and you ask them a question. They don't know what the sales process is. They don't know how long it's going to take. They don't know what the normal course of events is. So you got to guide them through there. Who's done this, 10 times a day? Who's done this 100 times in their career, 1,000 times in their career? You have. That's who. You have. You're the expert. You know what's going on. Don't let the customer lead you around. Take back control. Let them know, hey, I'll answer this question here for you. What other questions do you have before we move forward? Great. Here's what's going to happen. You got to sign some documents. You got to put a credit card on file. Then you get the keys X amount of days or whatever it is. You put a lease agreement in here and you take delivery here, and I need to know what's a purchase order, and here's sign. Here's a pen. All right? That's the order. This is going to take another 15 minutes. It's going to take 2 more days. Give them a time frame so they know what's going on. Then they're not going to be worried about it and asking questions. Give them the information before they ask for it and tell them what's going on. The entire sales process for a customer is mind-boggling. They don't know what to expect. It's like you just took them down a hallway and you turned off the lights. All right? You turned off the lights and they don't remember how long the hallway is, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to tell them, listen, hey, this hallway is about 100 feet. It's going to take us about 10 minutes to walk down there. You know what that does? Turns on the light. You know what people do in the dark? They kind of bumble and they stumble and they're feeling along the wall and they don't know what's going on in front of them. You turn the lights on and somebody like in there in the dark and they're caught in like one of these motions, like, oh, they don't know what's going on, right? Because nobody can see them. They're worried if they're going to hit the wall or what's going on. But if you give them the information, it's like turning on the light switch. Everybody walks a little more comfortable down the hallway. I bet you walk very comfortably down the hallway, right? And that's because you know what's going on. You know what's at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the hallway, and it's the solution. Turn on the light switch for your customers. Take back control. Ask them the questions. So a dangling benefit. It's like bad sales grammar, all right? Somebody asks you a question, you give them the answer, your rebuttal, your benefit, whatever you call it, right? Here's the feature, here's the benefit. Don't just shut up, right? If you shut up, they're just going to ask another question. What you got to do at the end of your benefit statement is ask them a question. Do you have any other questions before we move forward? Does that satisfy your answer? Or is it safe to say we're on the same page? I think it is, right? Let's move forward. Let's go. Do we have a deal? Yes, sir. Thank you. Shake on it. Over the phone? Yes. Okay, great. Jump up and down. Can you tell me I'm the best mortgage officer ever in the whole wide world? Hashtag the example. Thank you very much. All right, next. Number 3, the third sign that you are not a closer and you're screwing it up. The customer goes MIA. Customer goes MIA. I ask salespeople all the time, like, hey, where's your next deal come from? Write down the top 5 leads. The top 5 leads. Never know, okay, let's get the top 10 leads. Like you got a smoking hot pipeline right now. Give me the top 10 leads. And they start going through their 10 leads. And, all right, and I got this guy, and he seems like he was a solid maybe. All right, he's down here, and like, how many deals you got today? How many deals you got today? Right, boom, boom, boom. He's writing it down. He's like, man, I'm going to have like 3 deals today. And I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time you talked to those guys? Oh, like 3 days ago, 5 days ago, a week ago, but that client told me to call him a week ago today. That client is already gone, right? If you were getting the brush off, if you were getting the, hey, send me an email with your information, or let me just take your flyer or your business card and go home, and there's zero follow-up, zero engagement with them for the next 24 hours, you don't have a deal, period. That's it, done. They're just giving you the blow-off. They don't want to have confrontation. So they're just ignoring you. They're going to give you a false sense of, satisfaction. Like, hey, I'm a maybe, right? There's 1%, but they're gone. So if you're getting the, hey, send me an email, and then they never talk to you again, you're doing it wrong. At that point in time, you're not selling, right? You just gave a presentation. You gave a monologue. No, you gave a sales-a-log, right? You got on your little podium, right? Your virtual podium, or your up came up, and you gave them the features and why they should choose you, but they weren't enjoying the show. They didn't buy any popcorn, and they're not coming back for the double feature. They're gone, right? So that wasn't selling. That you gave on a presentation, and they didn't like it. They don't like your PowerPoint presentation, or your features, or your benefits, or your slideshow, or your website, or your flyer, or your email that was like too long to read on their phone. That's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. Who the hell reads their email anymore? Text messages. Text messages are very short emails. Like, hey, read this. It's not long. Check your email. How many of those emails do you actually read? And then check your spam and see how many is in there. It's ridiculous. But text messages, people read those text messages. So, to recap, you are not a closer if the person sells you, right? Consumers have skills. If they got to sell you or ask you or spur you along to, hey, do your job, buddy, give me some documents to sign, you're doing it wrong. Number 2, if they're asking too many questions, you're doing it wrong. Number 3, if they're giving you the blow-off, you're doing it wrong. You want to learn how to do it right? Go to www.thesalesnerds.com. Check it out. I'm out of here. Peace.